The internet has been crazy the last couple of days about this Vanessa Bryant story.
Vanessa Bryant's name is back at the center of a conversation, and this time the conversation is about her personal life, who she may be with, and what the internet thinks it has seen. The question of what has been happening behind the scenes since January 2020 is now being asked very loudly. Let's go to where this story starts. The post that started everything. Summer 2025, Vanessa Bryant posts on Instagram. She does not do this often when it comes to her personal life, but something had gotten loud enough to push through the threshold. The post was a Rihanna meme, Rihanna in a swimming pool, goggles on, middle finger raised. The caption said, "Me protecting my peace, not pregnant and having fun all summer." She followed it with a second post, Rihanna again, this time with the line, "I'm not mean, I'm just not the one."
Well, in case anybody was wondering, Vanessa Bryant is not pregnant. So, Vanessa Bryant had to go to her Insta story and post to clear up rumors.
The posts were a response. Something had been circulating for 3 to 4 days and had gotten loud enough to require an answer. The first wave of the rumor said she was pregnant. The second wave added a name. She was reportedly pregnant by a basketball player described in posts as a young baller, with social media landing on a 27-year-old NBA player as the alleged father. The name Jaylen Brown appeared in some of those posts. No credible source confirmed it.
Then there was another rumor that she was not only pregnant, but potentially pregnant by a young baller, basketball player.
A young baller.
That was the quote that was in the news.
Joe Budden addressed it on his podcast. The rumor itself was one part of the conversation, but what he kept circling back to was the reaction, specifically the male reaction.
What's interesting to me, though, is people's reaction to it. Like, people were bent out of shape, especially dudes were like really bent out of shape.
The men on the internet were not just curious, they were upset. There were names in comment sections. The framing was that she had violated something, an unspoken rule, a code. Budden laid the code out plainly.
When it comes to morals and principles in our minds, and whatever mental world that I'm in, that's Kobe.
But what's the moral?
I don't
want to
see you move on.
There was a large chunk of the internet saying the same thing. Not just one person, not just one corner of social media. A broad, loud section of the public had decided that Vanessa Bryant, the widow of a man who had been gone for 5 years, had done something wrong by appearing to be alive.
Everybody, like, it's a big chunk of the internet was saying the same. They were like calling her all kinds of hoes.
The Breakfast Club picked it up on air. The reaction there was simpler, less about analyzing the culture, and more about the basic human decency of leaving someone alone.
Please leave that lady alone.
But Kobe passed away in 2020, right?
Yes, but
so if she's dating or she's seeing somebody, that's her business.
The panel also noted that the rumor gained extra fuel from the fact that Rihanna was publicly pregnant at the time. People on social media were already conditioned to see those Rihanna memes in a pregnancy context, and that framing got spliced into the narrative around Vanessa. What the Breakfast Club found significant was that Vanessa, who does not normally address things of this nature, felt the need to step out of her usual silence.
But I think it bothered her enough that she felt like she did, especially because she's so protective over like Kobe's legacy and all these things.
This was not the first time Vanessa Bryant's personal life had become internet property. The summer 2025 pregnancy rumor was the loudest version of a pattern that has run continuously since January 26, 2020. Names attached, rumors circulated, speculation treated as report, and Vanessa for the most part saying nothing. But to understand why this pattern keeps repeating, why the reaction is that intense, that personal, that quick to escalate, you have to understand what the public feels it owns here. And that starts with the story itself, the love story, the one that began at a music video shoot in November 1999 and moved fast enough to catch almost everyone who was watching it off guard. How it all began. She was 17 years old. Kobe Bryant walked into a music video shoot for Tha East Sidaz in November 1999 and introduced himself to a girl standing there who he had never seen before. Her name was Vanessa Lane. He was 21. He was already one of the most recognizable athletes in the country. She was a senior in high school in Huntington Beach, California, somewhere between ordinary life and a future that had not yet taken shape.
I see the lovely young ladies that I haven't even met yet. What's your name? Vanessa.
Whatever happened in the conversation that followed, it moved at a speed that neither of them seemed willing to slow. By May 2000, barely 6 months after they met, Kobe had proposed. By April 2001, they were married. Vanessa was 18 years old on the day she became Mrs. Kobe Bryant, the wife of a man who was already famous, already rich, and already carrying the full attention of the American sports media in ways that would follow them both for the next 2 decades. The courtship generated controversy long before the wedding took place. The age gap drew its first wave of public commentary, but the more immediate and disruptive problem was the relationship's very existence. Kobe's visits to Marina High School in Huntington Beach were so frequent and caused enough disruption that Vanessa ended up completing her senior year through homeschooling. She finished her diploma not surrounded by classmates, but in the shadow of a relationship that had already decided the shape her life would take. The wedding itself took place without the blessing of Kobe's parents, who reportedly opposed the marriage and were not invited to the ceremony. The rift with his family became one of the earliest structural fractures in a union that would spend the next 2 decades being pressured from every direction. It was not the kind of start that makes observers confident, but Kobe, across every interview that touched the subject over the following years, was never anything other than certain.
What made her the one?
You know, it's hard to pinpoint what exactly makes a person the one for you, but you just know.
He also returned, across years of being asked about her, to a single word.
You described her as a real tough woman.
Yeah, you know, Vanessa, she's very strong. She's very strong-willed.
He said it twice: strong, strong-willed, not as flattery offered to an interviewer, but as the most accurate thing he could reach for when asked to describe her. The strength he was naming would be required in ways neither of them could have anticipated when they stood in that chapel in 2001, and it would be in full public view long before the marriage was over. Their family grew steadily. Natalia in January 2003, Gianna in May 2006, Bianca in December 2016, and Capri in June 2019. 4 daughters. And Kobe, as his basketball career slowed and then stopped, moved into a version of fatherhood that the watching world found disarming. The most competitive man in any room sitting courtside at Gianna's basketball games, with the same ferocity he once brought to Staples Center, coaching her from the second row, wearing a WNBA hoodie in public because she asked him to.
I remember asking him why he couldn't just sit a game out because he was hurting. He said, "What about the fans that saved up to watch me play just once?"
Vanessa, watching all of it from the inside, eventually put words to what it meant to see him in that role.
As a wife, there is no deeper connection with my husband than I would observe him as the amazing daddy he was and always will be.
After his retirement in April 2016, Kobe had what he had been describing for years in interviews: actual time. He sat down at the Tribeca Film Festival for the premiere of Dear Basketball with Vanessa and 2 of his daughters alongside him. And when the subject of family came up, he answered with the unmistakable contentment of someone who had just received the thing they had been working toward for 2 decades.
And now, you know, more so than ever, because I get a chance to spend time with him. Like, you know, this Christmas was the first Christmas we've had where we didn't have to rush to get things done.
That was the Kobe Bryant the world was falling in love with all over again in his final years. The retired man, the present father, the husband who had survived everything the marriage threw at them and found himself on the other side of it, with open mornings and no game clock. But the story of what happened in the middle, the years between the 2001 wedding and the 2016 retirement, deserves its own account, because it is in those years that Vanessa Bryant became who she was. And who she was is the only thing that explains the woman who posted a Rihanna meme in the summer of 2025 and told the internet to mind its business. The years that tried to break them. The first serious public fracture came in 2003. Kobe Bryant was accused of sexual assault by a 19-year-old hotel employee in Eagle, Colorado. The criminal case would ultimately be dropped after the accuser declined to testify, but what unfolded in the months before that dismissal rewrote the public architecture of their marriage in ways that nothing could undo. In July 2003, Kobe stood before cameras and admitted to adultery, to being unfaithful with multiple women during the course of his marriage to Vanessa. Vanessa stood at his side. She was 20 years old. She had been married for 2 years. She stayed. In the immediate aftermath of that admission, Kobe reportedly gave Vanessa a purple diamond ring, 8 carats, estimated at $4 million. The cameras located it on her finger before the press conference was over. The press ran its numbers on the stone's weight and cost, and the public that had been watching Kobe Bryant since he was a 17-year-old prodigy out of Philadelphia fractured sharply over what her choice to remain meant. Admiration from some quarters, suspicion from others, and the earliest construction of a label that would follow her for the next decade. The decision she made in 2003 was made with knowledge the public did not possess. She knew the marriage she was choosing in ways that no statement, no ring story, and no column of public speculation could convey. What the outside world saw was a woman beside her husband at his worst public moment. What she was actually navigating, the specific weight of a 20-year union from the inside, was never visible to anyone who was not living it. She stayed. She rebuilt with him. And then, 1 year later, the marriage collided with the locker room, Karl Malone had joined the Lakers in the 2003 to 2004 season, a veteran Hall of Famer arriving for what many expected to be a championship run. Whatever his relationship with the Bryant family had been, it deteriorated that season in a way that became fully, spectacularly public. Vanessa accused Malone of making an inappropriate advance toward her, which Malone acknowledged in a statement while denying the specific claim of a romantic pass. The story detonated across the sports press with the momentum of something that had been waiting to happen: a Sports Illustrated piece, a Saturday Night Live parody, and the phrase "Vanessa-gate" landing in headlines within days. Kobe was asked about it before a game and handled it with the measured deflection of someone who had learned through painful experience precisely how much to say out loud.
Like I said, when everything got started, and he had mentioned that our relationship kind of took a sour note because of something personal. My response to that is, personal information is just personal.
Jack Haley, the reporter who conducted the interview, described a longer off-camera conversation with Kobe that painted a portrait of someone staggering quietly under everything that had piled up: the Colorado case, the public scrutiny, the teammate situation, the perpetual sense that his private life was never going to stay private.
Somebody attacks your wife and comes after your wife, especially a friend and a confidant, you feel betrayed.
5 years after the Malone situation, the household itself became a legal matter. In 2009, their former housekeeper, Maria Jimenez, filed a lawsuit alleging that Vanessa had subjected her to humiliation and mistreatment during her employment from 2007 to 2008, including incidents involving derogatory language. The Bryants denied every allegation and countersued for breach of confidentiality. The case was quietly settled out of court in 2010, terms undisclosed, the story absorbed into the long catalog of things that had happened to this particular marriage and been survived. Then, December 2011 produced the rupture the tabloids had been anticipating for years. Vanessa Bryant filed for divorce from Kobe, citing irreconcilable differences. The filing hit the sports media with enormous force because what it placed in play was enormous. The pair had no prenuptial agreement, meaning an estimated $150 million estate was entirely on the table. Commentators ran the numbers. Reporters ran their theories. The 2003 adultery admission was pulled back out and dusted off as context. Every piece of the story that had been building since 2001 was suddenly in circulation simultaneously. In 2012, while the divorce was still active, Vanessa gave an interview to New York Magazine. One sentence became a headline: "I certainly would not want to be married to somebody that can't win championships." 7 words extracted from a larger conversation about sacrifice and a professional athlete's schedule became, in many corners of the press and public commentary, the hook that a particular accusation had been waiting for. The label "Gold Digger" appeared with a persistence that indicated some people had already written the story and were simply locating confirmation. The divorce was called off in January 2013. They reconciled. Bianca arrived in December 2016, Capri in June 2019. Kobe retired in April 2016 and stepped into the open schedule he had been describing in interviews for years. He had made it through every test. The marriage had made it through, and from the outside, it finally looked like the story had landed somewhere stable and good. Then came January 26, 2020. He morning everything changed. January 26, 2020, Vanessa Bryant was at home with her daughters. She was trying to call Kobe back. She was holding her phone, waiting for it to connect. Instead, the screen filled up with notifications.
She said, "I was holding onto my phone because obviously I was trying to call my husband back, and all these notifications started popping up on my phone saying R.I.P. Kobe, R.I.P. Kobe."
That was how she found out. Not from a phone call, not from an official visit, from strangers typing 2 letters on a screen over and over and over again before anyone had gotten to her house to tell her themselves. Kobe Bryant, Gianna Bryant, and 7 others died in a helicopter crash in the fog-thick hills of Calabasas. Other aircraft had turned back that morning. The helicopter did not. Gianna was 13. She had been on her way to a basketball tournament. Kobe had been flying her there. The world's response was immediate and total. Shrines went up outside Staples Center within hours. Tributes flooded every platform for Vanessa and her 3 surviving daughters, Natalia, Bianca, and Capri. The grief being performed publicly was the same grief they were carrying privately, with no wall between the two and no way to process one without being surrounded by the other. In May 2021, she stood at the Basketball Hall of Fame induction ceremony with Michael Jordan at her side and delivered the speech accepting Kobe's enshrinement as part of the class of 2020. Kobe had mentioned the Hall of Fame enshrinement to Vanessa the week before he died.
I used to always avoid praising my husband in public. because I felt like he got enough praise from his fans.
But before the Hall of Fame night, before any of the public tributes and legacy work that would follow, Vanessa was already building a legal case, growing out of one of the most disturbing details to emerge in the aftermath of the crash. In September 2020, she filed a federal lawsuit against Los Angeles County, the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department, and Sheriff Alex Villanueva, alleging that at least 8 first responders had taken unauthorized photographs at the Calabasas crash site, photographs that included the bodies of crash victims, among them Kobe and Gianna. Those photographs had not stayed secured in a folder. They had been shared, shown at social events, offered to family members of officers involved, discussed in language so deeply offensive that hearing it read aloud in a courtroom 2 years later broke Vanessa Bryant's composure in a way that nothing before had done publicly. The trial began in August 2022. What she had to sit through in that courtroom went beyond what any legal proceeding should have required of a mother and a widow.
Yesterday was the first day of trial over the Kobe Bryant crash photos, and Vanessa Bryant was in court as her attorney described how sheriff's deputies and firefighters shared photos of her late husband, Kobe, and their daughter, Gigi, and their remains after they were killed in that helicopter crash. She was actually sobbing, I can imagine.
The moment that shattered her composure involved a single deposition. A detective named Scott Miller, in a recorded interview, described the crash site photographs in terms that stripped every last shred of dignity from the people whose remains had been photographed, and then laughed.
That's insane.
Detective Scott Miller said in an interview, "I told her there were piles of meat," and then laughed loudly in the recording, and that's when...
When the recording was played in court, Vanessa Bryant broke down. The lawsuit was not the only legal battle she faced after the crash. In December 2020, Vanessa's mother, Sophia Urbieta Lane, filed a lawsuit against her alleging unpaid work as a personal assistant and nanny, and claiming Kobe had promised financial support before his death. The lawsuit was settled in 2021, terms undisclosed. What it added to the picture of those early years after January 2020 was a portrait of a woman fighting battles in multiple directions simultaneously, in courtrooms, in the press, in her own family, and still in front of cameras at a Hall of Fame podium, speaking about her husband as though none of the rest of it was happening. A federal jury awarded her $16 million in the crash photos case in August 2022. Then in March 2023, Los Angeles County agreed to a settlement of nearly $29 million to resolve all remaining and potential future claims. All proceeds went directly to the Mamba and Mamba Cheetah Sports Foundation. The foundation, originally founded by Kobe in 2016 as the Mamba Sports Foundation, renamed after Gianna's death to include her nickname Mamba Cheetah, has since sponsored 21 basketball courts across the country, 3 of them in Los Angeles. The most recent court, at Atlantic Avenue Park in East Los Angeles, was unveiled on May 19th. 2025, in the month that would have been Gianna's 19th birthday. Its surface is purple and gold. The names Kobe and Gianna Bryant sit at center court, surrounded by butterflies. The free throw lines are marked with 24 and 2. In August 2024, a bronze statue of Kobe and Gianna was unveiled outside Crypto.com Arena, both life-sized, locked in an embrace, angel wings cast in bronze sweeping around them. Vanessa spoke at the unveiling and described details built into the sculpture that most people would not have noticed without her pointing to them. The Eagles beanie Gianna gave Kobe for Christmas, and that he wore to her games specifically to make her laugh. The WNBA hoodie he wore courtside to signal his belief in her future. This is the actual content of Vanessa Bryant's life since January 26, 2020. Lawsuits, a foundation, 21 basketball courts, a bronze statue, speeches, raising 3 daughters, managing an estate, none of it still, none of it quiet, and none of it, apparently, enough to stop the internet from also wanting to know who she may or may not be spending her nights with. What the record really shows. Here is what the public record actually contains. Since Kobe Bryant's death on January 26, 2020, Vanessa Bryant has not publicly confirmed a single romantic relationship. Not one name, not one event described as a date, not one statement to a publication, on social media, in a legal proceeding, anywhere, that names a romantic partner. That is the factual baseline. Everything else that has been said about her personal life since 2020 is rumor. And it is worth going through that rumor carefully because the gap between what has been claimed and what has been confirmed is significant. The first name the internet attached to her was Pau Gasol. The material for this one is, on the surface, understandable. Gasol was Kobe's teammate with the Los Angeles Lakers from 2008 to 2014, a span that produced 2 championships and the kind of closeness that Kobe once described as brotherhood. After January 2020, Gasol stayed close to the Bryant family. He sent flowers on anniversaries. His family spent time with Vanessa and her daughters. On his birthday in 2024, Vanessa posted about him on Instagram with the word brother in the caption. Social media read brother as something it was not. Gossip pages ran their versions of the story. The interpretation had nothing to do with the reality. Pau Gasol has been married to Catherine McDonald since July 2019. Their closeness with the Bryants is grief and loyalty kept alive through presence. There is nothing else there. The second name was Rob Pelinka. Pelinka, the current general manager of the Los Angeles Lakers and Kobe's agent and close friend for years, appeared in a birthday post Vanessa made on Instagram in December 2023. A photograph of the two of them accompanied it. Social media constructed a story out of the photograph that fell apart under any scrutiny at all. Pelinka is married. His relationship with Vanessa is professional and personal in the way that shared loss creates. He manages aspects of Kobe's estate. Their history predates January 2020, and the post was a birthday message between two people who both lost someone central to their lives. That was the entire story. The third name arrived in the summer of 2025 and made the most noise of all. A rumor, built entirely out of social media posts with no sourcing attached, claimed that Vanessa was not only romantically involved with a young NBA player, but had become pregnant by him, with some posts circulating the name Jaylen Brown as the alleged father. No credible outlet confirmed any part of this. No photograph, no sighting, no source. The rumor constructed itself out of nothing and achieved the momentum of a confirmed story entirely through repetition and the internet's appetite for a particular kind of narrative. Vanessa responded with 2 Rihanna memes.
I did that she did something wrong and she's violating some code.
Joe Budden, across the full conversation on his podcast, named the deepest layer underneath all of this in a way that cut past the celebrity gossip framing and into something true. He was right.
But the point is, it's about, ultimately it still becomes about control. And I find that we want to control what people do.
The internet's sustained investment in Vanessa Bryant's personal life is not really about Vanessa Bryant. It is about what happens when a public figure becomes communal property, when the watching audience's investment in the person they have been observing is so large and so emotionally weighted that they start to feel they hold a stake in what that person does next. Kobe belonged to the culture in the way the greatest athletes do, not just a player, a symbol, an ideal of relentless, focused, won't-stop excellence that millions of people had used as a frame for their own ambitions. And when he died, the people who had adopted that symbol also swept Vanessa in, not as her own person with her own interior life and her own timeline of grief and recovery, but as the custodian of the shrine, the woman who was supposed to grieve publicly, visibly, and without an expiration date.
Yeah, dog.
There's a lot of people that have problems with widows moving on for some reason. I've seen that in non-celebrity circles.
Budden extended the observation outward from celebrity, noting that this pressure on widows, the expectation that grief be performed for the community's satisfaction, and that moving forward is a kind of betrayal, is not a phenomenon limited to famous people. It appears in neighborhoods and families and friend groups everywhere. What makes Vanessa Bryant's version of it different is not the nature of the pressure, it is only the scale.
Yeah, I've seen that in non-celebrity circles.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
My sister lost her husband, and people in the community were weird when she got
The title of this video is New Footage of Vanessa Bryant and Her New Husband Goes Viral. That title describes what the internet wanted to find in the summer of 2025, or believed it had found. What it actually found was 2 Rihanna memes. The footage that went viral was a denial. The new husband remains a rumor, one that, as of the date of this script, carries no confirmed name, no confirmed face, and no confirmed existence. What is confirmed is this: Vanessa Bryant's management of Kobe's brand and estate has grown its estimated value from $75 million at the time of his death to approximately $600 million. She has won and settled a nearly $29 million lawsuit. She has built 21 basketball courts in Kobe and Gianna's memory. She unveiled a bronze statue. She is releasing a book, Mamba and Mamba Cheetah Forever, in August 2025, featuring over 100 murals and the stories behind them. Her eldest daughter, Natalia, graduated from USC in May 2025 wearing a custom graduation stole embroidered with the words, "Thank you, Mom and Dad," a tribute to the father who died and the mother who stayed. If Vanessa Bryant has a new husband, a new partner, or a new chapter of her personal life in progress, she has not extended the public an invitation into it, and the public, despite considerable effort, has not found its way in. She posted a Rihanna meme with a middle finger. That may be everything she intends to say on the matter. Love this video? Click on these cards for more.